If you have been following the case of the Lori Vallow Daybell saga, then you know exactly who the person is that I'm talking to right now. We are honored to have Kay Woodcock here. Kay is the sister of Charles Vallow, also the grandmother of J.J. Vallow. She has sounded the alarm since the beginning. She has testified in now 3 trials for Lori Vallow Daybell, against her and against Chad Daybell. And today, you were in that courtroom for the verdict that said Lori Vallow Daybell is guilty of conspiring in your brother's death. I know you spoke to the media a little bit ago, but I mean, when you look back at this, December 2019, and we were talking to each other, and you couldn't fathom, you're trying to wrap your head around everything that had unfolded at the time. Just what is it like sitting here just hours after this verdict has been read?
Well, it seems it's real. For a long time, going through all this, everything seemed artificial and not real, because I've learned that's part of trauma stuff. But it's so gratifying that she was found guilty. I mean, everybody in the world knew she was. She did everything except put a camera on herself to do it, and everything was, it's such a huge relief that now we have Brandon's trial left, and as far as I know, I'm not in it, but I will be here to support him for a little while when I can, towards the end, because then that's when I believe they'll do the sentencing for Lori as well, so I'll be able to save a trip right there. But I'll be here to support Justin and Jenny, and it means a lot when people would come sit with us in court and just go through it, because being in court every day is really, listening to her baby talk every day was excruciating. And that every day I went home with a different tiredness, a different exhaustion than I did after Chad's trial, or after her first trial. She didn't say a word in that. And this trial, with her talking, I was more drained and just exhausted at the end of the day than I ever was at any of the first 2 trials. So, and the only difference was she was talking. Mm-hmm. So that baby talk and repetitiveness, and she is not a lawyer. She's going to be a good prisoner because she doesn't need to be out in society. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think when you were up there on the stand, it was only about 5 questions he asked you, and that was really a big day. You as a key witness talking about your brother Charles Vallow and the change of life insurance beneficiary, and how she was upset, and she told the jury that she wasn't upset. She had these kids to take care of. But looking at this now and how the jury has reacted, do you feel like they have easily seen through the quote defense and what she put on?
Watching, I tried to think about how, as a juror, I would be interpreting what was being given to me as evidence, and without knowing all the Idaho stuff and all the other stuff, which is a whole lot of stuff, I just could never put myself in there. I couldn't imagine myself in that position, but I do know that Trina presented some good evidence. Yes, it was circumstantial, but Lori did everything. Alex wanted to kill Charles. Lori was just, they're idiot criminals, number one.
In the first trial, she's just sat there because she didn't testify, and it was up to her public defenders to put on some sort of defense. No witnesses were called. But I don't think any one of us and yourself would predict that she would be acting as her own attorney in 2025 for 2 trials, let alone 1, and defending herself against this conspiracy to commit murder charge, and being so close to home. Your brother, broken bread with him. You helped him move, listened to him cry, and go through all of this. Have you even, and I don't even think it's sunk in that, you know, you never stopped and never forgot about Charles. You know, obviously JJ was a top priority. Let's be real. But you knew that this was going to come.
I knew it was. And I just, if I've learned nothing else throughout all this, is patience. Things will happen in time, and you can't control everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that early on. Otherwise, I'd have never survived this whole ordeal, because it was wait, you know?
You and Larry were, I think, kind of the faces of the first two trials in Idaho. Have you spoken to Larry? And I'm just curious what his reaction was.
I have not.
Oh, okay.
I tried to let him know that the verdict was in, and I couldn't get him on the phone. And anyway, I asked his sister to try and find him. She didn't know who he was, but anyway, I think he was probably outside cutting grass. But anyway, so Larry, she's guilty if you're watching.
Yeah,
and I'll call you after a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's been such a whirlwind. I don't know how many days you sat through, and obviously there was some graphic evidence, and it's not easy to see pictures of your brother in that state, and I know you didn't want to look at that.
I didn't. And whenever sometimes stuff would come up on the screen, like during Trina's closing, I caught a few little glimpses, but I didn't sit and look at it. I just looked down, closed my eyes.
You've gotten to watch, though, this team in Idaho prosecute Lori. Same team in Idaho prosecute Chad Daybell, who's now on death row. And now you get to see this Arizona prosecutor and her team. Does this give you even more hope and belief in the justice system?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have read a lot of people saying how crooked the justice system is, how slow it is. Yeah, it's slow. But, you know, it is what it is. And but I'm a firm believer in the justice system, and that it does work. And we need this, and we don't need, you know, judges walking away, you know, not taking care of their business with the public. You know, I don't want to get into politics. Never mind.
Well, what would you like to say to the jury? You know, this jury of 14, really, and there was a little concern, like, okay, we just lost two jurors.
I know, that was
14.
quickly.
And they were just hit with all of this in the past 2 weeks. They didn't know anything. And what would you want to say to them?
I want to thank them for showing up, for being there, for listening, they're a huge part of the justice system. I mean, you have to have a jury, and I didn't want anyone that knew about, you know, any details of it. I do know it was, you might walk by the TV and see a little something, but I wanted a jury that was pure, and that they, you know, that there was no way that this will be overturned by something later down the road where a juror says, well, I did happen to know this, but I believe that they were honest, and I can't imagine being one of them, leaving out the courtroom today after the judge released them and not Googling Charles Vallow or JJ and Tylee or whatever, whoever they Googled, Lori Vallow Daybell, and the pages and pages that will come up with that. You know, this is probably about, I'm going to say 2010, maybe 2008 or something. Charles asked me, have you ever Googled yourself? And I said, no. Why? And he said, well, just Google yourself. You just need to, you know, maybe something's out there with your name on it. And I was like, okay. So I Googled myself, and some business filings came up because I owned a company. And I thought, okay, well, there's my Google, and nothing interesting there. So he said, oh, well, okay. And anyway, so I've thought of that now. A while back I thought of it, and it's like, now if you Google, there's pages and pages and pages of that. And I just know that I said I wasn't gonna write a book at first. Then I said I was gonna write one, and right now, today, I'm not gonna open these wounds again. I
Wow.
need for them to close for good. But anyway,
It will
but
take some time, right?
it'll take some
Yeah.
time. But so my point is, if I do write a book, it's gonna have something to do with that situation about Google, because it was just a funny little question, and I'm like, what are you even talking about? You know, and it was just a non-event, but look at it now. It's all this. It's been a huge event.
Yeah. What was it like hearing the evidence? What stood out to you? I know that you said Trina did a great job, and with 19 witnesses to 0, but is there something that you saw and made you look at the jury and say, you're going to pay attention to this?
I don't know that there was one thing, but each lie that Lori said in her opening, each thing, and then Trina went across it, and that was a lie, that was a lie, that was a lie, and she so eloquently and articulately put it to where I would have said she's just a liar, but that's why she's a highly trained professional and I am not, and it was just a culmination of everything together that really just blended it together. But the text, they were very incriminating. Adam was very, very convincing with what he said, and I appreciate his honesty and for him testifying. And then when Nancy Joe was on and she told her, don't flatter yourself, okay? That was my clue. I was like, oh yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna be talking more than what she asked.
Yeah.
Because I knew I could get away with it. Lori didn't even object. She's not a lawyer. She should have objected.
And you brought some reminders here. We're wearing these wristbands,
Yeah.
Justice for Charles, Tammy, JJ, Tylee.
Yeah.
This is, you pass these out.
Yeah.
You bring them with you. George is wearing one right now.
I've been wearing this since the second trial. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got people that have worn them since before the first trial. I mean, and I've got a baggie of these, and I'm going to add these 3 to it that I wore in each trial. So I have a baggie with some, I don't know what I'll do with them, but anyway, they were worn in each trial. I don't know which one or anything, but all 3 trials, and this is one of them.
You got to hear 3 verdicts now.
Yes.
Take me through I don't know if there are big differences, but obviously different jurisdictions between Ada County, Idaho, and here. And what was that like today as we were waiting for a verdict to be reached and then getting into that courtroom? And we know how it goes. It's silent.
Yeah, it was definitely silent. And we were late. It took us a little while to get here, traffic, so we were running to get in the courtroom. And but anyway, we were grateful that we were there. Excuse me. To hear guilty today, I just kept thinking the lady that was talking, what is she? The
prosecutor, Trina Kay?
No, that reads the verdict.
Oh, the clerk.
The clerk.
The clerk. Okay, the clerk was reading it, and she kept saying, and for conspiracy to, and all this, and I was like, just say it, it's guilty. I know it's guilty. But she finally did say it, and it was like, ooh, okay, I can take a breath. This is, wow, okay, it's real. And I was getting a little worried today that there was no jury. I thought maybe they'd have been here this morning and we'd have got it right away. But I do know the jury instructions were quite, they had to go through all that to make sure they covered all the criteria.
Yeah, really 33 seconds sealed the deal there. Robert, let's listen to that verdict soundbite.
We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn in the above entitled action, upon our oaths, do find the defendant, Lori Daybell, as to the crime of count 1, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder occurring on or about July 11, 2019, guilty. Signed, foreperson. Is this your true verdict? So say you one and all.
Yes.
And hey, I've listened to a lot of the first two trials, found the whole thing fascinating about how they came to their decision.
Yes.
We heard from three of them, I think, this afternoon. It sounds like that none of them knew much about Lori before
Right.
the trial, which to me is part of that is amazing to me that in this day and age they don't. I'm curious to see if you've listened to the jurors in the first couple of trials, and are you surprised that they were able to find, or we were able to find here in Maricopa County, even this far beyond even the first two trials, that we were able to find essentially 14 people who had no knowledge of Lori up until this point. 12 of them were able to reach this verdict. And then we find out that 2 of those 12 hadn't made up their minds even as late as last night.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
That's what they told us. Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't
One
know
guy said he
that.
was driving home and still wasn't quite sure last
Okay.
night where he was going.
And
Yeah.
maybe that's why they needed to.
And they
Maybe.
just
Get home.
needed
I
to
was surprised at
discuss
that.
it today. Yeah. And that's kind of what I figured. I figured there might be 1 or 2 that just were, skittish about it. So, but that's okay. The evidence and the rest of them, laid it out for them.
And one of them did mention demeanor, which is a term that we used a lot
Yes,
this last 2.5
absolutely.
weeks about picking up on her demeanor.
Yeah.
The way that she talked to Nancy Joe, for instance,
Yes.
which was, I think, as I've said, that I felt like was the jury's first opportunity to see Lori, of
Yeah.
who Lori was.
Yep.
And to hear them say, yeah, we picked up on that as well. I'm wondering, like, is from your perspective, again, you've been through 2 of these, now 3 of these. I just wonder how that resonates, because you know Lori better than most people, right? We've certainly gotten to know her in this capacity as like a third eye. But when you hear the jury say things like that, I'm imagining that's not too shocking for you.
No, it's not. I did think I knew Lori, but obviously I didn't. There was a whole evil side to her that, that a monster
Right.
was there. And, but for the jurors in the first 2 trials, we talked to a lot of them. Any of them that reached out to, they mostly reached out to Nate, but I don't know, maybe Justin. I don't remember. But we always, yes, please give our phone number. We'd love to talk to them, and that's what we want, their feedback. We want to know, they were like, many of them, I just wanted to hug you, and I'm like, well, come on, let's get together and we'll have a hug, and we did. We would meet them wherever, and so with this one, I know that there's one lady that I gave them an okay to give my phone number to, that she wants to meet, and she wants to give me a hug. So
Yeah.
I will be meeting her, whenever, probably tomorrow, but whenever we have a minute. And yeah, it's just, I love talking to the jurors. I love their feedback on it. I can't imagine them walking out of the courtroom again, like I said, and just Googling and like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
seen that twice now, and now this third time is they're going through their phones. They are reading text messages from family members, or just, like you said, doing that Google. Now, you said something in the news conference that I want to mention. You told the media that it was 6 years of walking through hell, and to get to this point. And for you, I don't believe you're testifying in the next trial. I don't know. We'll see.
No, I mean, I'm not.
But
Nobody said anything.
No
3
subpoena
trials
yet.
is a lot.
I'm saying I'm not asking either.
3 trials is a lot more
Yeah.
than a lot of people can say that they've testified in. But 6 years of walking through hell. And today you saw Lori's demeanor once again as she heard the verdict, as she talked about aggravating factors and whatnot. She's never shown any sadness or remorse through this whole time. I mean, what you see is what you get. But we talk about your family. We talk about the Daybell family, the Woodcocks, Vallow, Boudreaux, Cox, Ryan. So many people have been affected.
So many people.
Do you think that deep down, maybe it's hidden somewhere, she goes back to her jail cell and thinks about how many people hate her?
I think that might take a little self-reflection, and I don't think she's capable of that. I don't. If she ever comes to the conclusion that, because her delusions about Chad and her being her goddess and all the bull he fed her, she is not a stupid woman. And she only bit onto that because she saw a vehicle to get her out. She didn't want to be married anymore. She didn't want to be a mom anymore. She wanted a different life, and she did what it took to get to that life. And for the few months she had, I hope she enjoyed it, because I know it couldn't have been worth it to give it all up for a couple of months with Chad Daybell. That's just gross.
Kay, I could talk to you for hours and hours, but I know it's been a long day, but a good day. We can agree on that.
Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you so much, my friend, for just trusting me and coming here right after this to sit down and just talk about something that has changed your life. We appreciate you so much, and we will see you for the next trial.
So, like the event started here in Arizona, you are our first person that we interviewed with when the media released the missing poster, and so you're the last one. Because I am tired of talking.
Yeah.
I will take it.
I'm tired. Larry, if you want to talk to anybody, we're going to. Larry will always talk.
Larry's returning to Arizona soon. For George Obie, I'm Justin Lum. You've been watching our coverage, and we will see you next time on The Record.